Welcome back to Brand Champions. I'm Howard Wolpoff, your host. Again, we're brought to you by Teal the Agency. And I'm happy to have two great guests with us today. I have Danny Colella from CaptivContent and Wendy Glavin from Wendy Glavin Coaching. And so both of you, welcome to our conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So branding is very important for a company to make sure that people have at least a starting understanding of what they are and what they do. So I want to know, when you're starting to have a conversation with the client, what is it that really is part of the structure of the branding conversation with them? Danny, why don't you start with that?
Yeah, when it comes to branding, we really rely on the founders of the company and the story of the company. So we try to find those things that are differentiators. A lot of people, when it's their own brand, and we're all guilty of this, we get lost in the details of what we do, and we miss those little details that matter so much to somebody that doesn't know about your brand, that doesn't know about what you do. And we often get into the clouds of what we do, and we get really high level when people are really looking for a very basic message that solves their problem. Oftentimes we tell people, we're looking for you to talk to your community like a seventh grader would understand it, because nobody knows as much as you know. Nobody's going to go as deep as you are. So our messaging needs to really start to resonate at a level that somebody who knows nothing about you can kind of step in, understand, and feel like they're a part of what it is you're trying to solve.
And that's a very good point, because a lot of times it's important that these companies are going to people like you to have these conversations, because they have a vision of what's important to everybody, because this has been their heart and soul, but it may not mean the same thing to their target audience that it does to them. So at times, are you having challenges with people understanding that? And how are you best translating it to really reach their audience?
It's going back to the basics. So again, I'm guilty of this in my own brand when I try to market. I get really deep. I've forgotten what my customer at the very entry level of learning my brand needs to know. And I know too much about what I do. Therefore, I have a hard time delivering the message. And I find that pretty common in every brand that I work with, is that they just try to go a little high. They're talking about things that don't really resonate with their target audience, and they're not keeping it basic. So really, it's coming in brand. We're all guilty of it because we care and know so much about our brand. It really takes that outside person to kind of come in, walk alongside you, hear your story, and be like, "Oh, I love what you do. These are the things that we really need to hit." And they need that outside party coming in to tell them, here's the clarity that we're going to start talking about. Because when you get a bunch of them in a room and they start talking about clarity, everybody has a different idea of what this needs to be and the clarity that needs to come across. And when you're that third party person, you really start to rein in what it is they're trying to accomplish and what it is they're trying to do. And you're able to kind of put that stake to say, hey, this is what we're going to move forward with. And then it gets the whole company on board, and it becomes a lot easier to market.
I think clarity is a great word to use. Now, Wendy, when you're walking into a relationship with a client, you are there for clarity. You're really there to help direct them in different ways that they may not feel comfortable or capable of doing, to help broaden the exposure of the company itself.
So first of all, I want to use in the 1970s in Fast Company, Tom Peters wrote an article, and it's called Your Brand is You. And I certainly believe that. And I created a process called Decode Your Value. And I believe that everybody has their own brand, which is, if you look at your core values, your background, your personality, your relationships, and your interests, that starts with your personal brand. So if you start looking at that, like at the core of who you are, it opens up a lot of different opportunities for you. I think that, people are afraid to leave their comfort zone, feel that they shouldn't discuss themselves, talk about themselves. But in all these pitch fests that I've done with startups, I always talk to them about, what's really important is who you are. Like, what is your background? The team's background, and the product and service is, kind of secondary to that, because it's what you said, Danny, investors or whomever, they're going to invest in the person, that first, and products and services, behind that. So I think it's easy to figure out what your brand is. Like, for example, again, it's Tom Peters, but like whatever, whatever we wear, like if you wear the swoosh on the Nike, how you dressed, how you speak, as I said, your personality, that's all you. So I feel that, or I believe that since everyone is an individual, we have no competition. It's bringing out your individuality. And like you said, Danny, authenticity. And that's who you are. So therefore, I don't feel that there's any competition. Danny, I don't feel you're in competition with me. I feel that there's enough business out there and enough, clients that, we all have a different approach to, how we differentiate each client and, business.
Now, when you are working with your clients, are there specific platforms that you're using to help get their brand farther out to their audiences?
Well, we're going to talk was about startups, because that's been, a major thing that I've worked on, tech startups. So they need, of course, a website, a white paper, a pitch deck. Often they need media training as to how to talk to investors. The things that are really important are podcasts, interviews, long form articles, videos. Everything changes all the time. I mean, now, AI it's a good caption. I think it was the Times that said AI is eating the world. So I'm going to go back to that 92% of executives say, it was a LinkedIn survey, recent 2025, that soft skills are as important as hard skills in hiring. So, we need to, for example, there was a young kid, I hate to refer to him, one of my clients, and, he had long hair and kind of cool looking, 27, 28. And I said, you know what, Ruben, we have to deal with the elephant in the room. You're going to stand up there and everybody's going to look at your long hair and that kind of thing. So let's talk about your background. So, I mean, his background was so incredibly impressive. Now it's a blockchain hardware wallet. They're the 7th largest company in the world. So I don't know if I answered your question. It was more of a seminar, but.
You definitely did in multiple ways. I appreciate that, because you really are looking at different types of ways to get the message out there for your clients. And there are so many different platforms out there, some that work better than others, some that match their brand better than others. And it's good to have people like the two of you to really help direct these companies to see the greatest success that they can find. So I thank you both for joining us today and sharing everything with us.
Thank you for having us. Hey, Danny, maybe we should work together.
Of course, always open for collaboration.
This is supposed to be about connections too, not just the Buzz TV news. Let's make a connection. Anyway, Howard, thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate the time you gave us. And congratulations to you, Danny.
And thank you both very much. Thank you all for joining us as well. It's so very important to have the right people behind your message, your brand, your marketing plan to make sure that you are reaching your audience. Glad we had two great guests with us today to share more information with us. Go out, have a great rest of today, and we will see you next time.